Hello everyone, and welcome to my foundation collection video. Oh, hold on a second. I actually meant to put these boxes in the shot as well. Ultimately everyone, if you can't already tell, foundations and base products are one of my absolute favorite products to test. I haven't done a foundation declutter in almost a year now, so in today's video, I'm going to be talking about my entire foundation collection, and I'm actually going to be decluttering nearly half of what I have here. The reason I know this is that I actually filmed this entire video yesterday. The quality didn't cut it for me, so we're back trying it again. I'm going to be giving you guys speed reviews of every single product and ultimately letting you all know the best of the best and the products that I would actually skip. If you enjoy it, definitely make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. A product that will certainly be leaving the collection is the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Foundation. Now, I have two shades here. I'm keeping one shade for the library, but I certainly don't need to be keeping both. I'm gonna keep the shade 1C. It is a decent shade match for me, a smidge light, but you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, maybe I should be keeping 2N. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, even though it's just a touch, I don't know, it feels a touch yellow for a neutral, but it's also sometimes a little bit difficult to tell in studio light. Okay, I'm gonna keep the shade 2N for my library, and if you're not familiar with what the library or my makeup library functions for, is I like to be able to compare certain formulas to reference and potentially offer other alternatives. But honestly, we'll see how much longer this product stays in my collection because I haven't been seeing many people talk about it as of recent. For me, this foundation, the addition of this mica throughout here absolutely flabbergasted me. Like, I feel like that's the only word I could think of to describe how I felt when I saw that. It just makes no sense why a formula should have these mica particles at this point because they make the skin look more textured. When you continue to wear this, it looks just very textured. Your pores look very defined. I honestly wonder how this formula would change just with that taken out of it. I just have this feeling like it could be night or day. This was just really disappointing for me because I think that Makeup by Mario as an artist does some absolutely incredible makeup. The brand has some of my favorite products of all time. I really wanted this to be one of them, but unfortunately it's not. Another item I'm going to be decluttering is the Huda Beauty Glowish Skin Tint. This is the shade Fair Light 2. I actually found that I've used this shade as like a self-tanning kind of summer shade, and typically I would wear this in the summer. It is one of those products that has like a shift, a luminosity that is from mica, and same thing goes with this product. As I continue to wear it, I start to notice my pores a little bit more. But I will say, if you are a fan of the Makeup by Mario, this potentially could be a better option for you. I found this to be just a little bit more refined than the Makeup by Mario formula. And I just found that, you know, when I wore this, I felt really nice in it. I just knew that there were other options that could probably give me a more seamless look, which is why I used a decent amount, but I didn't go through the entire product. And I think this is probably a few years old by now, like maybe 2.5, 3 years old, probably at that point. So I am going to go ahead and declutter it, but it's not a bad one. You know, let's talk about such an underrated find. This is the Bosma foundation. I have the shade 36, which is a great shade match for me. I don't understand why more people are not talking about this foundation. It's one of the best stick foundations I have ever used. Something that makes it so unique, in my opinion, is how it just becomes so one with the skin. You know, I think we often have this notion of foundation sticks. Maybe it's just me, you know, back in like 2014, they all used to be very kind of waxy on the skin, and you could kind of feel the emollients on your skin in a way that just, awkward. You know, it didn't feel like the way your skin should feel with makeup on. This is kind of the antithesis of that. Lightweight, but hydrating. It just immediately melts into the skin without being overly emollient or melty. The finish is incredibly skin-like. This is not an incredibly dewy foundation. Personally, I really like that. I find that I can't really tell where it starts and stops on my skin. And even going into 2024, I have noticed personally people really talking about getting into more velvety foundations or even more satin foundations. For me, satin is probably the way I'll go since matte never really works well for my dry skin. Ultimately, I love a makeup product that just doesn't translate as a lot of product on the skin, and the Bosma is pretty undetectable. What a beautiful launch. I think this is a brand to be on the lookout for. Another brand that I absolutely love is Danessa Myricks. I think that Danessa Myricks comes out with some absolutely incredible, unique formulas. And I have two of the Yummy Skin blurring balm powders. What an interesting launch. You know, I gotta be honest here, this is not my favorite product from Danessa Myricks whatsoever. I don't think it's even necessarily meant for me, so I'm not actually necessarily mad at the product. But here's the thing, it is incredibly unique. So it is literally a balm that once it goes onto the skin, it goes down to that kind of powder finish. I kind of like to think of this as almost like a tinted primer, or, you know, if you think about like these putty products, think of that formula except with a little bit of a tint to it. So the Universal, again, you can't see it when it goes on the skin, but it does immediately go to like this powder finish. And then the blurring balm I have in the shade 1, and you can see right there, it again goes right down to a matte finish. I can see this working for especially someone that just kind of wants to kind of dunk a brush into a little bit of like a mattifying tinted product, kind of sheer it out over the skin. Especially if you have more oily skin, I can see this being a product that might work really well for you. But for me personally, it made the rest of my makeup look like there were layers of makeup not necessarily meshing together. And, you know, formulas with a ton of silicone often do that for me. Everyone's skin is different. Some skin really loves a lot of silicone. My skin does not, unfortunately. But I am going to keep the shade number 1 and pass along the shade Universal. I'm not going to be using the Universal shade at all. However, I have been noticing the idea of cream foundations possibly making a resurgence. I have a couple others here. I have the RCMA cream foundation. I have the L'Oreal Age Perfect. I have the Monica Blunder Cover, new one from Mob Beauty. I have the Best Skin Days from Iris and Romeo, which is pretty similar to the Jones Road What the Foundation, which I think a lot of us already know about that wild formula. I have the Maybelline Matte Mousse, the Dream Matte Mousse. That is certainly a throwback that I think some of us wish to forget. Again, I have the Jones Road What the Foundation here. Thing didn't want to come out yesterday. And today it doesn't want to either for whatever reason. Might need tweezers for that one, but I do have this one as well, which is actually a better shade match for me. This is the shade Porcelain. I have done kind of an overview of cream foundations before, but I think if more people start to get interested in cream foundations, it might be cool to do like an overview, demos, swatches, in general, just give you the lay of the land of a bunch of different formulas so you can ultimately find the best one for you. The Monica Blunder Cover, this is the shade number 2. Still one of the most underrated makeup products I think I have in my collection. Interestingly enough, it definitely is reminiscent of the Bosma foundation now that I'm kind of feeling the texture. I think it's a little bit more emollient, but products, these cream foundations, are often really beautiful, acting as a foundation and a concealer. I love how buildable this product is. I'm certainly keeping that. I'm gonna keep the Dream Matte Mousse. I think only if you guys want to see kind of like a revisitation of this product, or if you can think of a funny video I could do about this, let me know. But if not, then, you know, this will get passed along. Maybe I'll wear it on April Fool's Day. The RCMA foundation. This is actually a palette. This is the KA palette. In general, I have found this palette to give me like multiple good foundation matches. Like you can see some of these are a little bit too dark, but like all in here and really get a good shade match in here. I think that this is a cult classic for a reason. I have had great luck with it, so I'm going to be keeping that. Again, keeping the Janessa Myrex as well. The L'Oreal Age Perfect. This feels like a moisturizer balm that is also a foundation. So I understand why people compare like the Jones Road with the L'Oreal, and then, you know, I think not as many people talk about this brand, Iris and Romeo, but it's the same deal, guys. Like this feels like a balm moisturizer that has a tint to it. Not like a skin tint that is more liquidy. Like these, I don't know if you can see it here, like look at that texture. It looks like actual moisturizer in the finger. They're truly like wild products. And then this is the Jones Road porcelain at the end. And I will say, I'm feeling some of those little balls that people talk about with the Jones Road. Like it feels like the butters weren't emulsified quite perfectly. I've talked about that before though. So yeah, you know, for now, I think I'm going to go ahead and keep all of these cream foundations for that potential video. Foundations come back in a style or, you know, trend this year or whatever. They are often overlooked in a lot of ways. You know what? Let's just come right out of the gate and do a little bit of a skin tint comparison. All of these products are relatively newer launches. They are all 4 products that I am going to be keeping. And the reason being is that I do feel like I haven't had enough time to test some of these items. The one product that I have tested the most out of all of them is the Positive Light Tinted Moisturizer from Rare Beauty. And I have the shade 16C. It is one of those products within my collection that I just need to pull out and get more use out of. It's a really pretty light coverage product. I do find that it has a little bit of a beautifying kind of blurring factor while being relatively lightweight. I think, you know, I would recommend this over the foundation from Rare Beauty any day. I think that this is just a little bit more skin loving, at least for someone with more dry skin, which I do have dry skin. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and keep this, but I do need to probably put it in kind of like an everyday makeup bin so that it's more accessible. And after these videos, I really like to do that. I like to pull out the products that I'm like, I think this needs and requires more testing. For example, I think I wore this maybe once or twice, the Summer Fridays Tinted Moisturizer. When I'm not getting a ton of questions about a specific makeup item, they end up kind of getting lost in my collection because obviously I want to cover the products that you all want to actually see on my channel. But I will prioritize other products that I'm particularly interested in or that I think are like hidden gems. So when a product doesn't immediately wow me, the Summer Fridays didn't, they just tend to get lost. By the way, this is the shade number 1 right there, a good shade match for me. If you want to see any revisitation on any of the products I talk about in today's video, I'm definitely looking at the comments, so make sure to let me know. But I did notice that this gave me a very glowy finish, pretty sheer coverage. I mean, I can even see comparatively to the Positive Light Tinted Moisturizer from Rare Beauty, this is even dewier and even more glossy on the skin. Kind of in the same vein, the Hourglass Hydrating Skin Tint was really pretty going onto the skin, but it didn't immediately wow me. This is the shade number 3. I would really love to kind of do an updated look at all of my skin tints and do some comparisons because ultimately I think that a lot of skin tint products on the market are interchangeable, but for me, I always go back and recommend the ones that have that it factor, that little something that puts them above the rest. Usually for me, I notice those products being ones with this extra bit of blur or this extra bit of refinement, a texture that feels like something we haven't seen before. So I really love finding those products specifically. Now, the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Skin Tint, I used this once, and again, I just wasn't super impressed with it. This is the shade Fair 2, and I will hand it to Bobbi Brown. The fact that you get 1.7 fluid ounces in here, I think is something to be celebrated when other brands are giving us less. I love a brand that will give us more. It has that classic vitamin enriched face base scent. So if you like it, that's great. If you don't, you don't. It kind of smells a little bit like oranges. So those are some skin tints that I need to try, get a better feel for in my collection. So I am going to be keeping all of them. Also, definitely feel free to make your case for any of the products that I talk about, especially ones that I need to keep trying. It'll give me, you know, the motivation to prioritize them if you guys are interested and really like them. Let's go ahead and venture forth, shall we? Why not talk about a cult classic here? This is the Armani Luminous Silk Foundation, and this is the shade 1.5. I also have the shade number 2 around here somewhere, but this is the best shade match for me. I just, you know, the Armani Luminous Silk, it's one of those foundation products for me that it just kind of adds this immediate moisture and radiance while also adding this blur and a refinement to the skin. Personally, for me, having the Luminous Silk foundation and then adding the Luminous Silk concealer, like that kind of finish on the skin is beautiful because it just looks like expensive skin. I don't know if you guys have heard that like phrase before, but it gives you this moisture while also adding this beautiful refinement. As a whole, it's not an incredibly high coverage product, so it also tends to look more like skin. I think it's just one of those cult favorite products that I think everyone should try once. Would you guys be interested in a video like that on my channel? Cult favorite makeup products that, you know, that everyone should try once, you know, kind of like those lists that people make of like books that everyone should read, places everyone should go, you know, that kind of thing. I think it would be really interesting to do that with makeup. So let me know if you want to see that. I definitely think that this product would probably be featured in that video. Definitely going to be keeping that one. You know, I think that these two makeup products are pretty similar, so let's go ahead and talk about them. So the Ciel Tint and Protect and the Terror 28 Sunny Days, both of these are essentially tinted. Admittedly, I don't use them specifically for the sun protection. I use these more as like makeup items. I think it's just hard for me to use tinted products as SPF because I feel like I'm never really applying as much as I really need. So this is the shade number 3 in the Ciel. I really, really loved this one last year. I think because it's just a nice product to give you pretty immediate medium coverage. Like in general, I was pretty surprised by the amount of coverage. It also, you can see, is quite dewy. So you really, I think, I don't know. I think this is probably reserved for those of you with dry skin. It also takes to powder pretty well, which is never a bad thing. And then here I have Melrose from Tower 28 in the Sunny Days. I think I have the shade Larchmont as well. Let me see. Yes, I also have the shade Larchmont. I don't know which one is a better shade match for me. I think I like the undertone of Melrose more, but Larchmont might be actual shade for me. I'm gonna go ahead and keep all of these, but what you have to know really is that these are all pretty interchangeable. I think if you want to have a focus on something that's safe for like eczema prone skin, I would go with the Tara 28. I love how the Sunny Days is approved by the National Eczema Association. I've always really liked that. The only real difference is that the Tara 28 is a little bit thinner, SPF 30, and the Ciel is SPF 50, a touch thicker, a touch more coverage. They're definitely great for quick, easy makeup days. I'm gonna go ahead and declutter the MAC Studio Radiance foundation. This one came out last year, I believe. This is the shade NC12. It is not the right shade for me. Actually appears like pretty orange when I put it on my skin, unfortunately, but could go back and get a better shade match for me. I mean, I tried this and thought it was nice. I don't think a single one of you have asked me about this. And ultimately, I like to spend my time on the products that you all really want to see or the ones that I'm super hopeful about. And this just isn't one of those items. So I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter it. This is another one of those items I'm probably going to declutter, the KVD Good Apple Serum Foundation. I actually like this more than their balm foundation that they came out with. This is the shade Light 12. For me, it does feel a little bit heavy duty for what I want, and I don't necessarily reach for it a lot. However, I see people really enjoying it. I don't know, I feel like it's a glowier version of something like the Estee Lauder Double Wear. Like that's what it kind of reminds me of. For an everyday product, it just wasn't getting along super well for me. But I actually don't think it's a bad one. But like I was kind of mentioning before, you know, no one is also asking about this either. So the fact that this is a pretty new product just sitting here in my collection, I would much rather someone else in my life get more use out of it. Speaking of a product I need to get more use out of, and I feel like I was saying this last year too, it's the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin. And this is the shade number 5. First of all, I love how Lisa Eldridge products feel like heirlooms. I think when I prep my skin well, this foundation really shines. I do need a little bit of a glowier base, I've found. You know, there are products in my collection that I feel like are less, I don't know, not that this is a high stakes product, but sometimes if I'm just not feeling 100% confident about my skin, or I know I'm really gonna have to prep my skin, I'd rather go with a foundation that I know is going to help with texture or add some nice moisture. I think this is definitely one of those items I need to put back in the everyday makeup bin and kind of like make a final decision on. I think a final decision is probably necessary at this point, so I'm going to keep that one. I really need to try out some of the matte lipsticks from Lisa Eldridge because you guys ask me about those and the shades are some of the most beautiful shades I've ever seen. Let's see here. So the Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Tint, and we also have the new foundation from CoverGirl, the Simply Ageless Essence. So I just did a full-on comparison of these products in my recent Save or Splurge video. So definitely go and check out that video if you're interested in all of these items. But if this tells you anything, I am going to be keeping all of them. You know, if there is one product from Fenty as far as complexion products go, like I know they have their hydrating foundation, their OG foundation, the Eavesdrop, but this Eavesdrop stick foundation, for me, definitely became my favorite Fenty complexion product. And this one has worked the most consistently for me. So this is the shade 2. Personally, for me, I just found this product to be lightweight but blurring, but also not fussy as the Eavesdrop drops can be. I just find that sometimes those just pick up on my texture a little bit, whereas I've never had that issue with this. Interestingly enough, I feel like there's another stick foundation product in my collection that kind of reminds me of this. I wonder if it could potentially be an alternative. Where is that? Stay tuned, I'll mention it later in the video, but I will be keeping this. I do think it's a good one. I'm going to be decluttering this Dream Matte Mousse, which is the shade medium. I bought it to potentially be like a great bronzer alternative at the drugstore, and that was kind of a pie in the sky. I'm just gonna go out on a limb here. Let's talk about like some of these tubey skin tint kind of products here. All right, here we are. Let's do a big old comparison. Really hope this is helpful. So if you find any of these larger comparisons helpful, definitely make sure to give the video a thumbs up. But let's just kind of start off all the way over here with the least amount of coverage. And I would say out of all of these, probably foundation item that is the least similar to all of these. So the Say Slip Tint, this is the shade number 2. It's this is not how it's supposed to look. I need to mix it up, but hopefully that gives you a little idea about the shade match. But the slip tint has always kind of felt to me like more of a sunscreen than necessarily a makeup item. Like, it's not bad, but I think that there are some tinted moisturizers, skin tints out there that are just going to give you way more of a beautifying look, like more blur, more coverage, will sit closer on the skin, all of those things. This is incredibly sheer coverage, and ultimately I do think it's nice to add a bit of hydration to the skin. It does have SPF 35, and ultimately I think you actually could use this as an SPF because it is such a sheer amount of coverage. I don't really do that. For me, it does kind of, I don't know, it's lacking a little bit. I think I am going to finally pass this one along and see if someone else can get some more use out of it. I will talk later about Saie's new foundation that they launched last year, I think. And that product really, I think, is one of their best launches. But let's go ahead and talk about all of these foundations, BB creams, whatever you want to call them. So, new launch from e.l.f., the Camo Hydrating CC Cream. I think it's pretty similar to the original It Cosmetics CC Cream. I will say that the e.l.f. Camo Hydrating CC Cream, this actually has chemical filters. It is SPF 30. It smells like sunscreen, which, I don't know, it's just not the most pleasant thing, just not ideal. However, this is the best e.l.f. base product that they have come out with, in my opinion, hands down. It is the most skin-like. It gives immediate medium coverage and wants to build. It just looks fresh on the skin. I think that as far as e.l.f. base products go, I would skip literally every other product and just go to this. And I think it actually is quite suitable for combination all the way to dry skin. My old favorite from e.l.f. actually was the Acne Fighting Foundation, but there's just such a limited shade range of this. I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this, but we'll be keeping the camo. I will say about the It Cosmetics Nude Glow and the original CC, I honestly really like both. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for. I find I get more quick coverage with the original than I do with the Nude Glow, though the Nude Glow does build on itself. So the Nude Glow, this is the shade Fair, and I'm not even going to swatch the other one because this is also the shade Fair and it's the same shade. But there you go. It's the best shade for me within the line. I think ultimately the Futurist Hydra Rescue and the Beautiful Skin from Charlotte Tilbury, I feel like both of these products are trying to do what the Nude Glow from It Cosmetics did better. So the Beautiful Skin from Charlotte Tilbury, it's so thin on the skin, but for me, it just is not the most forgiving on texture, and just not the best for dry skin. And honestly, I've seen folks with more oily skin try it out, and it also just doesn't want to synergize with their skin necessarily. I just feel like it needs a little bit more blur. And you know, the Estee Lauder Hydra Rescue, I have also found that this just, I wanted it to be so much more than it was. I think if you're looking for a thinner kind of BB cream, CC cream kind of vibe that these all have, I would just go with the Nude Glow, and I would also go with the original. Both of these have the same amount of product, even though the tubes are different sizes. If you want something a little creamier, more like truly hydrating, I would go with the original. If you want something a touch thinner that still has a nice freshness on the skin, I would go with the Nude Glow. But let's go ahead and declutter these. Actually, I mean, should I keep one of the Beautiful Skin for the library? Maybe I'll keep the shade 2 for now for the library, but I mean, I feel like no one really talks about it, so its days are kind of numbered at this point. Also going to go ahead and declutter the BB cream from e.l.f., since this is just, in general, an outdated formula, especially compared to the new Camo Hydrating version. I really have to try out the Yummy Skin Serum Skin Tint from Danessa Myricks. I just think it's time that I truly give it a better go. That's a good shade match for me. That's the shade number 2. I found it to be nice and hydrating overall. And also, I'm looking at this. This has 1.58 fluid ounces. I love when brands include over an ounce of product within their line. So I think that's great. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it. But yeah, again, let me know the products you guys really want to see me review. Speaking of newer launches, this isn't a newer launch, but so Makeup Forever did reformulate their HD foundation. They made it the HD Skin Foundation, and now they have a glowier version of that. To me, it just feels like they've been struggling to find their footing. The Reboot foundation, this one's really old, so I do have to unfortunately declutter it, but I found this to be absolutely beautiful, especially for people that wanted this kind of light coverage but light feel on the skin that still wanted to kind of melt into the skin. Sometimes with these thinner coverage products, brands like overdo it with like the denatured alcohol, you know, especially like serum foundations. This is just not that product. It's beautifully water-based, and, you know, for fans of the Makeup Forever face and body, I always thought this was great, but I don't know if they even stock this anymore. I really do anticipate this probably being discontinued, and I think the HD, like the new HD Skin Foundation, is probably the nail in the coffin for it. Certainly unfortunate. I am going to declutter that, but I really do hope that this launch from Makeup Forever is a hit for them. I hope that it really performs. I didn't like the reformulated version of the HD foundation. I thought the original was better. I am going to go ahead and declutter the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation, but I will say that this is a great example of what I think is a good makeup item that just happens to not look good on my skin. And I really like to kind of try to offer that nuance to you all. My friend, she actually has, I would say, more normal skin. I use this for her on her wedding day. She does prefer more of a matte finish. And on her skin, it looks pretty drastically different than it does on my skin. It looks beautiful on her. It lasted incredibly well. Her skin really shined in this foundation. And again, she likes something a little bit more velvety. I'm going to be keeping it potentially for that. Again, deep cuts video, you know, makeup products that everyone should try. But after that, I'm probably just going to pass it along to her because it just looks great on her. What do you guys think? Do you think that cushion foundations are going to come back this year? I really didn't see a lot of people using them in 2023. If you guys don't know by now, I love a good cushion foundation. I think they're really easy, and I think they're great, especially for those of you that like to do touch-ups throughout the day. Now, the Clio Glow cushion was definitely a favorite of last year. I have the shade Ginger, and then this is my actual shade, which is the shade Linen. It's an incredibly thin but also glowy foundation. I would say, especially for those of you with like combination skin, you want like a glow, but you still want your product to feel thin. I think that this would potentially be an awesome match for you. I'm going to keep the shade Linen because, again, it's my shade, but this shade Ginger is a little bit too dark for me. So I'm going to go ahead and pass that along. The Amuse Dew Jelly Vegan Cushion, this is the shade 2, Nude. I don't know. I think I maybe used this once, but oh, it is kind of jelly-ish, isn't it? I don't know if you can even tell. But yeah, that's a good shade match for me. Do you guys want me to try this one out for an upcoming video? If no one's feeling it, I could always declutter it. But one more K-Beauty product, the Misha Perfect Cover BB Cream. Of course I'm keeping this. I just absolutely love it. This is the shade number 23. I have used the shade 13 in the past. That's lighter than this shade and also a little bit more yellow toned. But this is like incredibly neutral, almost like leaning a touch gray. And there's just something about that like does a really good job of correcting the skin. You know, if you have more neutral skin or neutral cool, you kind of understand why it's nice to have a touch of that in your foundation sometimes. I think of this as like the Asian Beauty equivalent of like the IT Cosmetics CC cream. Like, I love when you can apply a foundation product like this with a sponge and just you get that coverage and correction so quickly. And again, really good for dry textured skin, but I know people with a variety of skin types that really love it. And also it's affordable. So the biggest downfall of this is the shade range, and a lot of complexion products within the Asian beauty market lack a nice shade range, but I do think that this is a nice formula. I do want to say the Maybelline Superstay 24-hour skin tint, not a bad item. I did think throughout the day it started to get a little bit weird, and I don't think it's coincidence that, again, it has this kind of like glimmer, mica, shimmer thing going on in it. However, you know, as I continue to think about this product, I do start to think about the Makeup by Mario and how these potentially could be like dupe or alternative products. I'm gonna keep the Superstay for now as a potential buy this instead if you like the Makeup by Mario, because if they're like a similar product, even if it's not a product that I personally like for me, if I can find a cheaper alternative for someone that does like it, I still feel like I am doing something good. So keeping that for now, I also am going to be keeping the Tarte Shape Tape Cloud Coverage. Kelly Gooch talks about this all the time. I haven't even tried this out yet, but you know, as you guys can see, these products in this vein tend to work out for me. So I'm really excited to see how this one works. The Ulta Beauty Moisturizing Foundation Stick. I haven't used this one in a while, but I wonder if it could be potential alternative to the Fenty Eavesdrop Stick. We'll see. If you guys want to see a comparison or you want to see this featured in my upcoming like Save or Splurge series on my channel, you let me know. But for now, it's going to stay in case that seems interesting to you guys. I also was considering actually doing a revisit, like just a revisit of the Ulta Beauty line. I did that video before on my channel and you guys really liked it and thought it was helpful. This is the Complexion Crush foundation from Ulta, and it is the shade Fair Neutral. By the way, the moisturizing foundation stick shade was light cool. Can't really remember what I felt about this one, so I gotta keep it for now. But if you guys don't want to see that Ulta video, maybe I'll declutter it, see if someone else can get more use out of it. But you guys, again, let me know. The Merit foundation stick. So I love that Merit heard the feedback that folks had about like the original Merit foundation. A lot of folks were like, you gotta give us more product. And they actually did. I think that's great. This is my shade. This is the shade Cream. I am going to keep this one. I just have personally found this product, it sits so closely on the skin, which I love. And I find that it wears really beautifully as well. And I also like that it's a very middle of the road finish. We have the shade Dune, which is a little bit more pink. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more pink. I think I'm gonna keep that shade, but these two shades I have are a little bit dark for me. The shade Ecru is not a great shade match, so I'm gonna declutter that one. And then the shade Linen, which, I don't know. I don't think Linen's bad, but still just a touch too yellow for me. So I'm gonna declutter those two, but keeping the others. Speaking of not a great shade match for me, the Glossier Stretch Foundation. This is the shade Very Light. It is not a good shade match for me. And I couldn't really find my perfect shade in here. This is very light. However, I will give it to Glossier. Usually when I'm trying a foundation and it's super, super light for me, I feel like it gets in the way of the review a bit, which is always unfortunate. However, I still found my skin to look really good when I was testing this. I would like to possibly get another shade of this. I am going to keep this for now, but here's the thing. I don't even know if you guys ask a ton about that foundation. I really want to try and focus my attention on the products that you guys are like actually interested in. So you'll have to let me know. Like I'll pick up another shade if you guys really want my thoughts, but if not, we'll just have to see where that one goes. Far enough into the video that I can talk about a product that everyone is probably tired of me talking about, but that like wouldn't make sense for me to not mention. The Synchro Skin line from Shiseido. Shiseido creates some of the best base products that I have ever used. Immediately, let's talk about the newest launch, which is the Revital Essence Skin Glow. And I have mine in the shade 140 Porcelain. 140 Porcelain, this is the same shade I have most of these in, and it's my best shade. Do I have Opal? Oh, I do also have 130 Opal. That's 130 Opal, and then this is the shade 140 Porcelain. Are they the same? Hold on. I'm gonna swatch 140 Porcelain over here as well. All right, that is kind of interesting. So 140 Porcelain right here in the Synchroskin Radiant, 140 Porcelain and the Revital Essence. I can get away with both of these, but you can see they are a touch different. And then we have 130 Opal. So hopefully that is helpful for you all. The Revital Essence Skin Glow from Shiseido. This is an incredibly lightweight, watery, almost, you know, like essence, true essence texture when it goes onto the skin. It provides like a pretty immediate glow, but again, it's not coming from a really emollient place. It's not really oily. This is great if you just love these kind of classic water-based foundations. I can really see folks, especially in the summer, absolutely loving this. I love the way it builds as well. It just wants to layer really prettily. It's an absolutely beautiful one. But I will say my favorite foundations of all time are the Synchroskin Self-Refreshing Original and the Radiant. Here's the thing. This is going to give you a light coverage. Both of these will give you a medium coverage. If you have more combo to oily skin, go with the Original. If you have normal to dry skin, I say go with the Radiant. I also have dry skin and I've loved the Original. So if that gives you some context, I think that these formulas are good enough that a variety of skin types truly can actually use them. And the reason is the self-refreshing idea of this is that these are both just incredibly great long wear foundations. They continue to refresh themselves. They either rehydrate or with the self-refreshing, like I feel like it doesn't allow for crackling on the skin. I think if you have mature skin, if you deal with fine lines, if you really deal with honestly any skin issue, I feel like these foundations want to work with you consistently. They build really beautifully without going heavy, without going chunky. Honestly, I get kind of curious about the makeup formulator behind this formula because I just want to shake their hand. It's just really that good. As an avid makeup lover, these formulas actually inspire me. And by the way, I will leave all of the products that I'm talking about today linked down below. If you do find the video helpful, using any of the links does help to support my channel. So thank you to everyone that does that. Of course, no pressure to do so. But one more cream foundation that I am going to keep is the CoverGirl in Olay Simply Ageless. This is, again, it's more of like that balm foundation feel. Admittedly, you guys, I don't think that this one is the best, and I definitely say go with this one from CoverGirl now that it's released. But again, if you want to see me compare this to, you know, like the Jones Road, etc., I do have a video on it. Potentially like to compare it to some newer releases. Keeping that one for now. I do think I need to pass along some of these Hourglass foundations. So I have one of the hydrating skin tints that is the shade 5. I'm going to go ahead and pass it along because I haven't even swatched it. Again, I already recorded this video yesterday, so I know that I need to pass some of these along. How is it that I have 4 of these? I don't need 4. The shade 3, 2.5, 4.5. I'm going to declutter 4.5 and 4 because these definitely won't match me. Let's see which is a better shade match for me. I have the shade 2.5. And by the way, this is the Soft Glow foundation, Ambient Soft Glow, if I haven't mentioned that before. And then this is the shade 3. So shade 3 is a little yellow. That's a much better shade match for me, I think, which is the shade 2.5. So keeping 2.5, passing along 3. I will say, I think this foundation, it leans a little bit heavy, but I have hopes for it. Should we go ahead and talk about the Saie foundation? I did mention this earlier in the video. I do prefer this to the Saie Slip Tint. This is the Glowy Super Foundation, and I have the shade 3. I can get away with both of these shades, by the way. I have the shade 3 and 4. This is the shade number 4. This is the shade number 3. You know what's interesting? I forgot this about this foundation, how it like oxidizes a touch. I am going to keep these. I will say that this foundation is beautiful used with fingers. Like when you apply this onto the skin with fingers and really blend it in, it just looks like, again, like very glowy, pretty skin. Like, look at that. It just leaves this radiance that I really enjoy. I will say, I think one of the shades has like some beads in it, or I don't know what's happening with that. Maybe some foundation got dried out at the spout, but that's kind of odd. But yeah, I did mention this foundation in my Best of Beauty 2023 runner-ups. I do think it's just a great product to give your skin that like what's your skincare routine kind of compliment, because it does just look like such beautiful radiant skin. If you don't like radiance, I don't recommend that one though. By the way, you guys do occasionally ask me what I'm wearing on my nails. I'm wearing the Dior Nail Glow. At this point, my nails are probably looking a little bit bad because there's like foundation on my fingers, but this is such a classic, perfect, like no makeup nail polish, if you know what I mean. It's just like that French manicure look in a bottle. Worth every penny in my opinion. I've used it for quite a while. Okay, shall we chat about the Kosas Revealer Foundation? I've already gone through one full of this. What shade is this? I can't even see it because it's kind of wearing off. I think this is the shade 110. I want to say this is the shade 110 and this is 120. The Kosas Revealer Foundation is beautiful for those of you that love, like, you know, products like the It Cosmetics CC cream. These kind of creamier foundations that add a beautiful medium coverage and just make the skin feel good. I always find my skin feels good when I'm wearing these, and it's just a product that adds this blur and this freshness, but this doesn't have silicone in it. So I don't even know how they really did it, how they managed to do that. It's a very curious but beautiful launch from Kosas. They did a super incredible job, which, by the way, did you guys see that they came out with like, I think it's called like the BB Crush, or they came out with a new foundation skin tint kind of item. I cannot wait to try it just because like I love the Revealer concealer, the foundation. I love the Cloud Set from Kosas. Like they just do base products really well for me. So I'm excited to see how that one works out. Have super high hopes for it. So we'll just have to see. But let me know if you want to see that review. Definitely keeping these. Has consistently been in my top 10 foundations since its launch. I am going to go ahead and declutter the Studio Skin Foundation from Same. This is a K-Beauty brand. It just like, it didn't do much for me. I know that a lot of folks love this one. It just didn't work for me. And I don't even know what shade this is, so it's not even that helpful to give you a swatch, but I'm gonna go ahead and pass it along. I'm glad I only got the small size. I think more brands should offer a smaller size for like trial. Also going to declutter the Purito Cica Clearing BB Cream. This is in 13 Neutral Ivory. This one was awkward on my skin. Like it just did not look good. It almost kind of looked, the best way I can describe it, and it's kind of odd, is like it looked fluffy. Like it had too much fluff to it that it was kind of like sticking in my hair and just looked kind of exaggerated on the skin, which is a bummer since I love Purito. But yeah, it just was not the product for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter that one. However, I am going to keep the Unleasha Satin Wear Healthy Green Cushion. I maybe used this once. I gotta test it out. This is the shade 21N. Kind of interesting because yeah, you can see here, you like click the side and the product comes up, but it's not like necessarily like a true cushion foundation. I will say it makes it more hygienic. So I think that that's great. And also this brand has just really, really caught my attention. A lot of the products I've tried have just been pretty great. And again, they call this more of like a satin finish. So I don't know, I just gotta keep giving that one a go. Let me know what kind of K-beauty videos you want to see this year. If there are any particular products, categories, themes, whatever you want. Because you guys know how much I like K-beauty and Asian beauty. I also have the shade 2 within the Luminous Silk foundation. Definitely going to keep that one because it's just great. I am going to pass along the Blur, the Bare With Me Blur from NYX. Actually, kind of similar vibe to the Purito. It's just a bit fluffy on my skin. It just makes my hair look more textured. So maybe the product isn't fluffy, but my face looks fluffy after using it. I know people really enjoy it, but I think that there's too much silicone in the formula for it to like truly synergize and melt into my skin. So I am going to go ahead and declutter that one. But if you do want a good affordable foundation, I have had such incredible luck with the No. 7 line. Their foundations are just so beautiful. And initially I actually tried out a lot of the products from No. 7 because of this product, the Long Lasting Life Proof from CYO. You can see this was like a holy grail foundation for me. Also, I think like $5, just like pretty insane kind of product. The Soap and Glory Kick-Ass foundation was basically an exact dupe for the CYO, but that has also been discontinued. I'm gonna keep this one. This is the shade 101 from CYO, and essentially I'm just keeping this as a reference product because it's such a good formula, but these are so old that I think it's probably time to, I don't know, I feel like I don't need a reference product of all three of these. I'm gonna pass it along, and also they're pretty old. It's like, you know, I'm kind of even iffy if I should be putting it on my face, to be honest. But I will say that the closest option I've found to the Long Lasting Life Proof is the Restore and Renew from No. 7. Now I will say the Restore and Renew, as I've continued to use it, it is a little bit glowier than the Life Proof, and it's a little bit thinner. Pretty sure that was the shade Calico. Keeping that one, I'd like to give the Lift and Illuminate another shot. I do think the Restore and Renew is a little bit more up my alley. And keeping the shade Calico of the Protect and Perfect. This one is really nice if you're a fan of just something a touch creamier. I wish it built on itself more, but overall the No. 7 foundations feel in this realm. So if you know this foundation, if you used to love it, I think any of these options could be really great. I'm gonna declutter the shade Light Cool and the Protect and Perfect, just because that's not my shade. And on the more luxury, expensive side of the table, Kogan Do Aqua. Have loved this product for years. I think it was like one of the first reviews I ever even put on my channel. At the end of the day, if you want an incredible foundation that photographs beautifully, that you can build and build and build and it just still looks like skin, has a water-based formula, just looks both amazing in person and on camera, which honestly is kind of like my dream. Not all makeup products photograph really well, especially in like flash photography. Like if they're too glossy, too much sunscreen, or I mean, there's just a lot of things that can go wrong. This looks immaculate in person, like incredible skin, while also looking incredible in photos. So just a all around luxury buy that I will always love. We are truly in the home stretch now. I think we're down to like 10 more foundations or something. So now this one, this is the Exa foundation. Unfortunately, this is way too dark for me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and declutter it. I know someone else, that'll be a better shade match for someone else. Speaking of poor shade matches, the Rituel de Fille 3-drop Weightless Foundation. This is like one of their lightest shades and it's way too light for me. So again, I'm going to declutter it just because I don't see myself being able to make that one work. However, I will say both of those I'm open to getting another shade of. I don't know. The Rituel de Fille has really stuck out to me. Maybe I need to grab another shade of that and give it a go. Now, I think part of the reason I didn't use these more last year is that they somehow ended up in the foundation bin or drawer, and these aren't foundations. I would use them more as like a primer or a mix-in. So these are the Halo Glow liquid filters from e.l.f. This shade is the one I'm gonna keep. It's the shade Fair. The other shade is not my shade. This is just a really beautiful product if you want kind of that juicy skin effect. I don't typically go for like the Lumi Glotion or Glotion kind of products because they oftentimes have too much like mica and like true sparkle. This is one of the only ones that I feel like it doesn't. It has a nice balance. It adds great hydration to the skin. It's best as a mix-in or a primer rather than on top of makeup because it is a little bit thicker. I would say go with the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter as a highlight, but as like all over the face and mix into foundation, just go with this. I think it's even better. But I am gonna go ahead and declutter the shade Light because it's not light enough for me. I need to try out the Double Wear Sheer Longwear makeup. I still have it like in the box. Let me know if you want to see a video on this, but I need to get going and try some makeup is what I'm getting from this declutter. Westman Atelier, this is the shade number 3. This is their foundation stick. Ultimately, this is a beautiful product. I like to use this when I have self-tan going, and it's really easy. Again, it's very seamless, has a great creamy blurred finish on the skin. But you know, when I think back to my other cream and stick foundations, it's pretty expensive and I don't see myself repurchasing it. So though I am keeping it, it's more so because I just know I like it. I don't know. I just think that the Bosma, like for example, it's cheaper and it's just as good. Another product that is pretty inexpensive, I think it's like $29. Obviously not like, this isn't necessarily affordable makeup, but in the scale of like mid-range makeup, I personally think that $29 for this formula ain't half bad. It's the Bounce Skin Tint from Beauty Blender. This is a great kind of blurred satin look, and I have mine in the shade Light 3. I gotta tell you, enough people don't talk about this, and I do mention it pretty often on my channel, especially when I'm doing like best of videos or like recommendation videos for sales. It's just a beautiful one. It gives a great blur and it lasts really well on the skin. I just feel ultra kind of perfected and pretty. It's a great one. I would love for more people to try that one out and give it a go. On the affordable side, Revlon Skin Caring Illuminance Foundation is really great. I have mine in the shade 117. This is a really nice, like everyday foundation. It does give me this like great skin look, not a ton of coverage. You really can't expect much coverage from this one, but it is a very hydrated, pretty like fresh look. And again, more affordable, decent amount of shades. I'm really impressed with the recent launches of Revlon. This one, I think if you haven't tried it and you tend to like base products, the ones that I like, might be something to look into if you want to go with something more affordable. Funny enough, I feel like the Your Skin But Better foundation from IT Cosmetics is pretty similar to the Revlon Illuminance. I think I'm going to try this out maybe one more time. I don't really hear a lot of people talking about it. It used to be one I really liked, so maybe I just need to give it another go. The Neutrogena Sensitive Skin Serum Foundation. This is even more light coverage than the Revlon. This is the shade 02. You're talking about like, this is barely even makeup as far as coverage goes, but it makes the quality of your skin look really good. So if you're someone you're like, I just want an overall kind of, almost kind of like water fresh tint vibe from the Chanel, like you like that truly no makeup effect, I do think that this is a true no makeup product. It is pretty undetectable. Great one. I'm definitely keeping that one. But I am going to go ahead and declutter the True Match from L'Oreal. I actually think that this is pretty similar to the skin, like the Triclone Skin Tech foundation from Haus Labs. By the way, this is the shade N1, great shade match for me. Fortunately, I don't know. It's one of those makeup products that I don't find myself reaching for. You guys let me know. I'm on the fence about this one. I'll keep it in the declutter bin for now. But I will say if you're into the Haus Lab Skin Tech Foundation and you've never used the L'Oreal True Match, might be worth looking into. And lastly, the MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body. This is one I'm keeping. It is the shade N0. And I'll never forget the kind of like light bulb moment for me with this foundation was when I heard Daisy Cash so many years ago say, you need to kind of warm it up between your fingers and then it kind of goes a little bit tacky and it goes thicker. And then when you apply it onto the skin, it gives you more coverage and it just looks better. Like it looks more seamless. And I used to find that like this like always looked super, super dewy. But if you apply it in that way, it actually is more of a natural finish. Anyway, this is for me like the same formula as the Face and Body. You just get less product. So, I mean, what else is new with a lot of brands? But I do like it. I am going to continue to use it. And I think it's time to organize. Shall we organize all of the products? I don't know if you guys can see here. Like I've got all the products kind of like shoved to the side of my table. Let's go ahead and organize everything I'm decluttering. All right, these are all of the foundations that are leaving the building. I feel really good about that. And these are the foundations that are going to be staying. All right, this is one box down, and then I think I have just a couple more that I can fit into this tiny box. All right, everyone, and this is my new foundation collection. I think I did pretty good here. Definitely made a little bit of room, but I'm still open to declaring more. So please leave all of your feedback down below. If you want to see that makeup deep cuts video, what kind of K-beauty videos you guys would like to see in the future. If there are specific foundation products that I have that I need to try, you let me know. If you want to see the cream foundation video, I want to hear all your thoughts, but overall, just thank you guys so much for being here. I'm gonna leave all the products that I talked about today down below for you all. I have a ton of declutter videos upcoming, so if you enjoy them, definitely make sure to subscribe, and I will see you all in my next one.